Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Wherever you call home, we are there. In favorite places. Large spaces. For many homes, we have coverage that fits the way you live. And with our home systems protection, you can cover major home appliances and more. We cover more type of homes than ever. Get the coverage you and your family deserves. For a free no obligation quote, visit us online or simply give us a call.
Back at you and Gloves Off, and today we got a great guest from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Kyle Simonson, and we're talking about an issue that seems to be growing because you've been very vigilant on it, and that's issues with teachers and underage students across many of the schools in the DFW area and across Texas. How are we doing today, my brother?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being vigilant on that and bringing it up for everybody to kind of start noticing what's going on. And it seems to be getting worse, right?
It is. I follow a lot of groups around the state, and one of the groups that reports a lot on this is Texas Scorecard. A good friend of mine over there reports it. And I know last year that they reported over 100 events of students and administrators last year. It's almost up to 100 this year already. So if we keep on the same pace, we're going to shatter last year's record. So what I'm talking about is I'm just talking about stuff I've learned by going to events and seeing what I see in public. And that's kind of what I do. I just want to bring awareness and education to parents to get involved in their local communities to see if we can help with this epidemic that we've got in Texas.
Yeah, because it seems that in the last couple of years, it seems that it's been growing in numbers. Instead of dissipating, it's been growing. Is it more because kids are they're all online, or they're able to get on more apps, or you know what I'm saying? There's more cell phone use, or what is the actual problem? Or do we have a problem that we're not vetting our teachers?
Well, I think it's a little bit of all that, Professor. I talk a lot about dress codes in schools. Why are we not enforcing dress codes that the parents sign a handbook at the beginning of the year, but the administrators don't want to enforce it because they're afraid of the parents? The parents don't want to enforce it because it's peer pressure, and they say that's all we can find for our kids to wear, which is not true. So we have a complacency issue as well. The dress code, the technology in schools. I know when I went to school, we had a computer lab that we got an hour at the computer, but that was to learn technology. And now technology has taken over the classroom. We had a very scary incident hit close to home about a month ago. And this was with one of our granddaughters. She lives in a small East Texas town. One of her teachers was busted for having pornography in the classroom. He was looking at pornography. And we asked our granddaughter, so did you learn anything in this class? And she said, no, we really didn't. He was on his phone all the time. I still don't know how he got caught, but he did get caught. And then we asked her, so what was your grade in that class when you got out for the semester? And she said 100. Everybody got 100. But we didn't learn anything. We didn't do anything. So I came from the school system, 32 years of it. This stuff was not near as prevalent as it is now. We saw kids doing stuff they weren't supposed to be doing. However, I've never seen it this bad as it is now. We're lacking in educating our children about values. I believe we have a mental health issue in this country that we're not addressing as well. But you're right. We need to figure out what kind of vetting we're doing with these teachers. You know, most of your careers nowadays do vetting on social media. I don't think I don't think districts are doing that. And I think that's a huge problem.
No, you're correct. You're correct. And I think the vetting, number one, of teachers, and we have great educators out there, but
Sure.
and I don't want people to say, hey, you're attacking teachers. We're not attacking teachers. We're attacking an issue that there's a problem going on that is being overlooked or swept under the rug by many districts. And it didn't happen. Oh, it's okay. No, it's not okay. No, let's not deal with it. And that those issues arise, and it's to me, I think it's in every school district. But I think that we have to place laws that are going to be more vigilant, more protective to our children. And I don't think we're doing that. I think a lot of these school districts have a lot of power. What I mean by power is they control a lot of jobs. They control a mass distance in the political sense of things. And how can I say, a lot of them are used to harvest votes in a lot of areas. So they're very, very powerful in many ways. So I don't know if they're abusing that power or they're overlooking this issue, but it's something that's already it's alive and kicking, and people need to be aware of. And that I repeat it again for those people that are coming on right now, is that it's teachers having sexual relationships with students or grooming them. And that right there is a problem.
Well, it is. And the blame is far and wide. So you take the administration staff that's not doing their due diligence. You take the Texas Education Agency. You take the State Board of Education. You take Texas State Association of School Boards. All of this is political. It's all politics. It's all who can have the biggest voice. So there's plenty of blame to go around. What we need solutions. And part of what I'm doing in my community in North Texas is I'm trying to organize some town halls to where we talk about trafficking with the professionals that are no more than I do. We also invite people from school districts and business leaders and community leaders to understand the magnitude of this epidemic. And what can we do as parents and grandparents and citizens to stop it? And, you know, if I'm out shopping somewhere with my wife, I'm not watching my wife. I'm watching around me to see what's happening. I see children left in baskets when their parents walk off down another aisle to get something. Or I watch when they walk out to their cars on their cell phone, not paying attention to who's behind them. You know, there's all kind of stuff going on. There's people watching you everywhere in parking lots, whether people want to know that or not. We have to be vigilant and we have to be cautious of our surroundings, no matter where we are. This turns into the school stuff because we have a lot of complacent parents, a lot of teachers that want to accept everybody and they want everybody to be like everybody else. And unfortunately, nowadays that's not the case. That predator could be your next door neighbor. He could be in your church or your school or your business. So my big thing is about education. We just have to start educating people on, you know, why we're not following certain guidelines that's already in place. We need to address the penal code in Texas. We need these predators to be under the jail when they get caught. They need to lose everything they've got. When they go after a child, to me, that's the red line you do not cross.
You know, I compare it to this. When a dog, whether it's a pet, turns around and bites a child, whether it's yours or somebody else's, and mauls them, leaves them a scar, they're ordered to be put to sleep, to put to death. And when a pedophile does that to a child, nobody wants to do anything about it. And
right.
and I'm sorry to tell you, those scars become generational in some instances. And
Sure.
you have, and that once you catch a pedophile, he has to be treated with everything that the law consists of against that should be thrown at that individual. And that is not happening now. So that's what I see. I mean, we always hear about issues in school districts. I'm going to go back to the school districts. about this, and then nothing's happened. That instructor's still running around, or that counselor's still running around, or that coach is still running around in there, and you hear it over and over, and it might even go on the news or in social media now, because a lot more people are more vociferous about the whole situation. But now you start getting those pedophiles and perverts, or those predators, are not being arrested. They're just running around free. And in our school district, that to me is...
This is what I preach all the time. You've seen my post. I preach about people being involved. And this starts with our legislators in Austin. You know, we have to get stricter penalties. We have to change the penal code. And on top of that, we have to figure out a better vetting process for these administrators and teachers. I mean, you take somebody that comes straight out of college, 21, 22, 23 years old, and now they're teaching, you know, even middle school, high school students. There's not much of an age gap there. And when people don't sit and do critical thinking about what we're doing here, that's why we're in this position. We have to start educating people. We have to start attending meetings. When I'm out traveling, I'm going to every possible meeting I can with my council, my school board, my commissioners, and I'm pushing for change in my community. But a lot of people do not want to get involved in that process. They just want to turn the blind eye and let somebody else do it. I mean, that lies the problem. We don't have enough people involved. You know, there should not be anything that's political about protecting a child. Unfortunately, Absolutely. It's all political because it gets in the attorney's hands. They sweep it under the rug. They cover it up. A teacher goes to another district and starts working again, or another state. If you're convicted of a crime against a child, you should never work around children again anywhere, period.
I'm with you 100%. And you said something there that's very, very crucial. You hear that to that teacher, and let's say they were in junior high A. Something happens and next semester, the following year, guess what? He's in junior, and now he's in high school B. Something happens, and all of a sudden they switch him all over the place. And that musical chairs that are going on happens a lot more frequently than we would think.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. And this is why people have got to get involved in the process. You know, it's grueling sometimes, it's depressing sometimes. But if we do not protect this generation of kids, we're going to have a whole lot more problems than we got right now. And it's already bad.
It's going to get worse. It's worse. You know, I see it. I saw it 2 years ago with the school to prison pipeline districts that we have here in Texas. That I would say about 95% of the school districts in Texas are school to prison pipeline districts, and that right there is very dangerous because you're bringing out kids that are already in the penal code. So whatever they do, they're going to go to jail. So to me, it seems like we're feeding our penitentiaries. You know, we're keeping them alive, and because you have kids that might have been a bad kid in 8th grade and is sent to juvie. All of a sudden now he's a senior, but he can't go to juvenile. He's 17 years old. Now he's going to go to the county jail, you know, and so now you're processing. I mean, there's problems. I get it, you know, because the first thing that happens is, it's because we have some bad kids. Yes, we do have some bad kids. I understand the system there, but not all kids are that way. There's some kids that there's some kids that, you know, tell them to clean the whole gym after school for the next week. Is going to straighten them up, you know, call their parents. But instead, now they have the police inside the districts, and the police are arresting them, and where they could have been punished, you know, in a different format.
Well, you're right, and we need to look at how we can help these children. You know, a lot of these children, as you said, they make mistakes, but there's no reason we can't help those children. And I've been meeting with some nonprofits. I'm in the process of meeting with some more that go along these same lines, because I don't want these children to not have a second chance. I want them to get the guidance and the structure they need to succeed in life. but we don't have enough people involved. That's, and I'll tell you another incident with our granddaughter, one of our granddaughters. She's in 9th grade. So after this incident at school, she was at a Walmart in this very small town. Her brother was in another area of the store. She was at the checkout. And the older lady came up behind her and started asking, "What's your name? Where's your mother? How old are you? Where do you live?" Our granddaughter was smart enough to run and to find her brother in the store. But how often does that happen to where they don't know what to do? This is how this stuff happens. This is how children are groomed, how they're taken, how they're trafficked. I would also tell people that you need to know what's in your planning and zoning ordinances in your city. Why are we allowing all these businesses to come in that we know, or we're pretty sure there's bad activity going on? When we get offline, I'll send you some links to some businesses that should not be in business where kids can go into, but there are. So there's a whole array of a lot of information that people are not aware of out there because they don't pay attention.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. We have to protect them. And you're correct on the planning and on the zoning in the different municipalities. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. It's just, here where I live, we're lucky to have, 15, 20 people at any given meeting. We'll go to a sporting event or we'll go out to a concert with friends and stuff, but we don't take 1 or 2 hours a month to sit in a meeting to get educated about our community to protect our children. Our priorities are really screwed up. We're lacking common knowledge about what's going on in our own cities. And there's no district, there's no city, there's no county exempt from what's happening all over the state and all over the country.
You're correct. And I think having town halls is going to be is the most important thing that we should do now, and bring out people that know what they're talking about to talk to people. And I think that's the only way we can get individuals involved.
Well, that's what I'm working on right now. It's going to be announced here in a couple of weeks, but we're working on a big thing here where I live, where I'm bringing in professionals that know a lot more than I do, bringing in community leaders. I hope people from the school district show up and the city show up. I want people to understand the dangers that is lurking in our backyards, just waiting for that right opportunity to groom that child or to traffic that child. We have got to understand that we're giving our kids all this freedom, but we're not disciplining them. We're not showing them structure. We're not telling them what's right and what's wrong. We're just in a go-lucky, happy world, and nobody's paying attention. And that's why all this stuff happens. This stuff is right in front of us. We're just not taking the time to look for it. If you look for it, you would be surprised how prevalent it is across the state.
No, you're correct. I see it, and I've seen your posts, and they're getting more frequent. And that's what I said to myself. Now there's a problem here. Now before we're 10 years ago, you have one maybe once a year, but now it's like 2, 3, boom, every other month.
Yeah, and just like I said at the very beginning, we're up to almost 100 now in the States, and we're not even we're halfway through the year. We've got a long ways to go. Last year, the record's going to be shattered, and we still don't have it. Here's what bothers me too, Professor, is most of the elected officials, whether it be local or state, do not want to talk about this. They don't want to have the discussions. They don't want to come to the town halls. We have to hold our officials accountable. And I get a lot of flack for doing what I do, but if they're not stepping up to the plate and they're not participating in this important endeavor, then I call them out. And that's what more people need to do. They need to be held accountable. There's nothing more important than children.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you 100%. And you said something right there. We have to hold our politicians accountable. If you're an elected official, you have to be held accountable to your actions. Your actions make our towns or cities or schools safe. And if they're not being held accountable, I don't know. I've been watching this. You well know that for a while now, especially with how the politics is going. The number one thing we need right now is term limits. I think for I think
I
a
agree.
lot of we already have term limits. It's 2 terms. I think it has to be brought down to 1, and that's the end of the story.
Well, most of your council, most of your councils have term limits. A lot of them do, a lot of them don't. But school boards, where we need to really focus. Folks, it starts locally. It starts with your commissioners, your council, your school boards. All those people are elected. They drive what happens in your community and what doesn't happen in your community. And the only way to hold them accountable is to be in their face respectfully, talking about the issues with the facts, and keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Finally, somebody's going to listen. They're going to listen. And I've got people that I don't always agree with, and I'm extending the olive branch to. They're listening more than my own party is. That's what's really sad about this. But people have to understand that if I'm not getting help from somebody in my community, I'm going to reach out to somebody else. And thankfully, I'm being helped by a lot of people I never thought I would agree with. But on this core issue, I'm actually getting some help, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. God bless it. God bless you, and God bless everything that you're doing over there, because we need people like you more to stand up and say enough's enough. And the term limits, especially on the school board, I think that's legislation. So I think we have to pass it to the state. So I think that's I think we have to start working on that next session and getting people. You know what? This is what we need.
It's hard to. I mean, it's hard to go down to Austin and testify. It's long days, but that doesn't mean you can't call and write and email and reach out to your elected official on social media. Just keep pounding and pounding and pounding. Don't do the name call. Do it in a respectful manner. Get your point across with facts. I have learned the hard way that berating them doesn't do any good. But if I sit down and talk to them face to face and have a factual conversation with them, I'm making a lot more headway with them, because it's opening their eyes to something that they haven't seen or they haven't heard. That's what we have to do. We have to stick it to facts.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that we have to start looking at. And maybe we should do a research on a study on, say, the last 10 years, how it's grown. And once that study is done, and bring it forth and say, you know what, we need help here. We need to change, because there's something going on here.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I think we do need to do that. There's just a lot of stuff that people need to look for. They need to, like all of our grandkids, their social media is monitored. Their parents know what site they're on, who they call, who they text, when. A lot of parents don't know those programs are out there for free. There's so many ways that we can rein in our children. And look, I'm not telling everybody to be a helicopter parent. Just be a responsible parent. Know what your children are doing, know who their friends are, and especially know who their teachers are. Research is at your fingertips on anything you need. You just have to go look for it. And that's what we do. We search and search, and we find the answers we need to get. It takes a little work, but it is so much worth it to save these kids and protect them from the evil that's lurking.
Absolutely. You're correct. You're correct.
I just hope more start doing it.
Yeah, we have to. I think that's what we have to do. I think that's the key, is to get parents involved, get them involved in. And it's very hard to do so, though. But you're right. I think the involvement has to be done. I think more town halls, like you said, have to be pushed forward. I think people need to realize that. Guess what? We're in a problem right now that we have to get. I don't know. It's disgusting, because I've seen it firsthand.
Well, the devil is hard at work. Yeah, the devil's hard at work, and unfortunately, we know some people that have been trafficked personally, and that makes it very difficult. I would also say this: there's a lot of churches out there. There's a few I've spoken at. They're non-denominational. Some of them are cowboy churches, but most of your churches don't want to talk about this issue. We need to start asking our pastors at our churches and our elders, Why are we not talking about the dangers in our communities? Churches could be a big help in this situation if they would just talk about it, but they don't want to talk about it.
They don't even want to. They don't want to even get involved when it comes to something like that. They don't want to get involved with.
No, they don't. And for the life of me, I don't understand that. There's very few that will even bring the topic up. You know, grooming can happen in so many different ways, but when we have surveys in school asking what you identify as, or we have books in the libraries talking about different relationships, we talk about transitioning children. All this stuff is the devil at work. We have the power in the people to stop this. And we saw some of that this legislative session, not a lot, but we saw a little bit. But anybody that allows that to happen in schools need to be held accountable. They don't need immunity. They need to face the same force that we would all face if we did this.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think when issues like that happen, I think a lot of these board members or trustees and administrators actually want to sweep that under the rug for not to smudge them. And it's not that they're being smudged. If they would stand up against those actions, they will actually be the heroes, you know? So
and there's a bill being signed by the governor this time that's going to take that immunity away from the board members, which is excellent. I don't remember the bill number off the tip of my head, but that's one good bill that we got done this session that I'm hoping is going to wake up a lot of people and understand that you're not immune to being prosecuted anymore. We need to get this out in the open and talk about it and get it out of our schools.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope so. I hope he signs it.
He's supposed to sign it, so we're going to see. But yeah, I think we're making progress, but it's slow. But every citizen on the face of this earth has a responsibility to protect these kids and to get involved and make sure that we're doing everything in our power. I mean, look at all the fights that are happening. I know around here, almost every week there's a fight that's on social media in a hallway in a school, and we're sitting there watching these kids beat the heck out of one another and just sit back and let them do it. Why aren't we doing that as mentors, as teachers? Why are we not stopping that? What is the core problem? Why are kids fighting all the time? You know, we definitely have a mental health issue we need to address, but we also have a value issue and moral issue we need to address. There's a lot of single family or single parent homes. We need to help those parents. We need to give them a system where they can come out, ask for help and not be embarrassed or not be shamed. We have to help those families. And that's another part about what we're trying to get involved in is how do we help those single parents? How do we bring structure into their home? Those are all important issues that drive everything we're talking about.
No, you're correct. And I think we've either I think we missed the ball on that one, you know, and we think everything's hunky dory and it's not. And we're relying ourselves on, oh, they're good people over there, they'll take care of this situation. And then we find out that it's not, it's worse. So I think it's more education.
The big part of the problem is this. That's what the problem is. That's why I'm encouraging everybody. You may think you know your city officials or your school board. Call them up, email them, get in touch with them. Ask them to sit down and have a conversation with you. That's what I've been doing. I've met with almost all my city officials, including board members. There's still a few I'm reaching out to and trying to get them to meet with me, but meet them face to face. You read their eye language, their body language. You can hear the tone in their voice. You can see their body gestures. It gets you really good answers to your tough questions when you do that. So much stuff can get misconstrued by a text or a Facebook post or a phone call. Do it in person. Meet these people in person.
Absolutely. That's what needs to happen. And I think in those town hall meetings, I think we have to bring them in and join them together. And have
I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to personally invite all my elected officials. If they don't show up, then I'm going to call them out after that town hall. They're going to have plenty of opportunity to put it on their calendars. It's going to be a few hours long. It should be on a day that everybody can make it. So if they don't make it, I don't want any excuses. You plan a vacation, you plan to go fishing or plan to go to a movie, you can plan to come to a town hall.
Excellent idea.
So that's how I approach it on my end.
So, when you have yours out there and see who you brought in, maybe we can do one following after that over here. See if we can set it up. I think we need.
Yeah, well, and I've had Democrats and Republicans both reach out to me and say, "Man, this is a great idea. This is what we need. We just don't have the courage of people to step up and do it." Well, I'm putting myself out there in front of everybody to do this because I want to see change. I want parents to get educated. I want our city leaders to start having some courage to step up and take the actions necessary to stop a lot of this stuff that's going on. This is all in our control. Right now, we're letting the kids control the parents and the administrators. That is so backwards because that's what's got us into this mess. We need to put our foot down and say, no, you can't wear that to school. You're going home. You're not here. When you do that, it's all tied to the money and the funding. Well, straighten your stuff up and you won't have to worry about school choice and you won't have to worry about sending anybody home. There's nothing wrong with setting standards and guidelines to protect the children from the vulnerability that they face every single day.
You're correct. And, and it's something that everybody needs to start working forward on it.
Absolutely.
And teachers have to realize that as well. And teachers, parents, the unions have to come together and say, these are the problems. What do you all think we should do? How can we change them?
Right.
You're going to end up, the parents are going to blame the teachers are going to blame the kids, and the administrators are going to blame everybody except them, so that's what happens. I see a lot of blame going around. It's a kid's fault. The kids are out. That's why we put this policy in. And the parents, it's the teachers. They're doing this. They allow them to do that. So the blame game has to stop. Everybody has to come down and sit down and
that's the way I'm approaching my end. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just telling people that we have a problem. We have the solutions with everybody putting their 2 cents in. We have solutions. All of us do. We just have to enact. We have to enact those solutions. This is not about left or right. It's not about who's wrong, who's right. It's about coming up with probable solutions to protect the children, and that should be the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
But we're looking forward to our town hall. It's a couple, it's probably a month or two out, but we're going to be producing the flyer here pretty quick. I'm going to blast it all over social media because I want people to have plenty of time to come if they want to come from out of town. But we're going to have a fantastic event with a lot of professionals from all different aspects of life that know what the problem is. They know what the solutions are. And we hope that we can reach a lot of people by doing this.
Absolutely. Well, God bless you for what you're doing. And
thank you, Professor.
Steadfast. Whatever you can do, want to send it to us, we'll push it out as well. Because it is something that has to be done. We have to protect our kids.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And when's the meeting going to be?
I'm sorry.
When's your event going to be?
The town hall? We haven't set a date yet. I'll probably have a date by the middle of next week. We're working on some different venues. I've actually had some elected officials offer me a couple of venues. So we're trying to strategically see where it needs to be just based on how many people we might have. But probably by the middle of next week, I'll have that flyer ready.
Absolutely. Whatever you need, we're here to support you.
I appreciate you, sir.
So we'll do this. Parents, if number one thing that you should be doing is getting involved with your kid's life, number one. Second, touch base with all the teachers that are inside and get involved in how and what apps they're using in social media. Understand that. Get involved now.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if something happens, there's if something happens to your child or you know of something that's happening, you have to stand up and tell the police, get some help, and do it now. There's a lot of, or give us a call. And we can direct you some way. We can get you some help if you guys need it.
And always, if you see something or hear something, always say something. You can never be too careful about a situation. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good words. Well, we'll end the show now, but I want to thank you. And for those out there watching, tell us what you felt in your comments, what we need to do, any ideas and push out or any issues, let us know. And also hit the like, share, and we'll leave you with this. You all stay safe, be safe, and God bless you all until next time. Much peace, my brother.
Thank you, Professor. God bless you.
So when I was working on Selena, the series for Netflix, to play the role of Abraham Quintanilla, I put on a specific amount of weight, which I was fine doing, but also realizing it could be difficult to get that weight off. I got back into my physical regimen with James Leha, but I was still having trouble with just those last amounts. And that's when I got to meet Arturo from Laredo Medical Weight Loss Clinic. And just the products that he gave me kind of put me over the edge. I feel great about myself.